Dear students and the viewers, my name is Kushal Roy. I am assistant professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Haldia Institute of Technology. And in this very basic preliminary session on wireless communication and network, I will be covering some very fundamental topics which are extremely important for the students to understand in order to develop, analyze, and investigate a cellular network architecture. Now, basically, if we start with what is a cellular network, so please let me emphasize here there is a difference between a mobile network and a cellular network. Okay, so earlier days, what used to happen, the number of subscribers were less, and even the coverage of the mobile phones were not extended as they are today. So what happened, we used to have a single mobile tower which was of very high power and very long in length, and it used to cover a very wide geographical area. Now, from there till now, we have evolved a lot in this mobile telephone system, and this is basically due to the cellular network concept or wireless network management. Basically, cellular network is different from mobile network because of particular reason that in a cellular network it is considered to be a combination of three different units: the mobile telephone, of course the mobile phones, personal communication system, that means your data communication, voice calls, all those things, along with wireless networking. So together, the three networks, mobile phone network, personal communication system, and wireless network, when considered together, they provide what is known as a cellular network we use today. Now, what is the foundation of this cellular network? The cellular network's objective or foundation is very simple. First of all, replace the high power transmitter receiver with lower power and short range transmitters which are more in number. That means now we are not restricted to one single mobile tower. We have multiple towers. Now, what is the concept of having this multiple tower? What are the factors? What are the figures associated with it? See, the multiple towers in the transmitter have less than 100 watt of power consumption, which is even less than two or three bulbs that we use in our common daily life. So it is 100 watt and power, and the area is divided into cells. Now the concept of cells is very simple to understand. If we have a large geographical area, say of certain 140 or 150 square kilometers, what we can do, we can divide it into small cells. I am randomly dividing. Okay, I am not mentioning the shape over here. Okay, let it be circular. Okay, like this. So what is happening, we are basically dividing it into smaller areas. Okay, and each area we are calling it as a cell. Each cell covers a certain fundamental area of the given defined zone, okay, which is a very large area. Now each of these cell has its own antenna, ठीक है, along with the range of frequencies which are used in a particular cell. Okay, they serve as base station. Okay, they serve as base stations means they have transmitter, receiver, and control unit. And please remember, the adjacent cells cannot have the same allotted frequency or channel. Why is it so? If it happens, then adjacent cell will have crosstalk, or what we say, there will be interference of information or signals from one particular cell to another, leading to complete destroy of the entire cellular system. Now going ahead, What should be the shape of cell? Arbitrarily in the last slide I showed shape of cells to be circular. Okay, in practical also, please try to understand this, that antennas are omnidirectional. They can only provide a area which is circular. So practically they are circular, but internationally accepted shape of any cell in mobile or cellular communication is but particularly hexagonal. It is hexagonal. It is not triangle, it is not circle or even square. No, they are hexagonal. What is the reason? We will come to see. If we simply go to the structure of the cells, we can understand from this. See this pattern of the square cells. If the cells are square, there is a very big problem. If we travel from center of one cell where we presume our base station antenna is placed, from this particular point to the center of another cell is different in different direction. What I mean to say, this is a direction. If I say this is D in perpendicular, it is D in horizontal, but in triangular the value changes to root 2 times D. So that means antennas are not equidistant. So this particular disadvantage eliminates square type of cells. So the internationally accepted cell architecture, I told you, it is hexagon. What is the reason for that? The main reason is whichsoever direction you travel from the center of one cell, you will always land up to the center of another cell at a equal distance D. Okay, and if this distance is D, please remember, okay, and the radius of the cell, or this distance, that is from the center of the hexagonal cell to the angle, or to the joint of two particular sides, okay, any angle of the hexagon is R, then D is given by root times 3 into R. This can be proved by geometry very simply. So I am not going into this at this particular time. I am not going into the details of the derivation. But what I mean to say is they are equidistant from each other. So this is the main reason why this hexagon has been adopted as the fundamental cell size, fundamental cell shape in cellular communication or wireless communication. Now, there is a very important term which is known as frequency reuse. Now, let me first of all tell you what is meant by frequency reuse. See, whenever I divide a large area into smaller areas, okay, or cells that I called, okay, in that case, the question arises that what should be the limitation of the number of cells? Can I make infinite number of cells? Can I make 2 or 3 cells? What should be the number of cells, and on what factor does this number of cells depend? Now, if we go very closely, we will understand from this that if this is the case, that this is a cluster. What is a cluster? Cluster is a group of cells. Okay, after the end of the cluster, the same pattern repeats. What I mean by same pattern of cells or cluster repeats, I mean to say that if this particular cell, which is marked by red, is having certain channels, the adjacent cells cannot have the same frequency or same channels, otherwise there will be interference. But there can be a different cell at a different point in such a way that they utilizes the same channel. They utilizes the same channel or allowed frequencies. Now, what makes this very important? that whatever frequency and channel this particular cell is using, same frequency and channel this particular cell will also be used, with one and only one prime condition, that they should not interfere. Okay, so there has to be a safe distance between these two. Similar on this side also, you can see there are cells which utilize the same frequency, or we call it the frequency reuse, and here also they are safe distance apart, such that there will be no co-channel interference. That is the main requirement. Now here you can see I have written something, I is equal to 2, j is equal to 1. Now this is how we calculate the distance in terms of cells. Now I and j are vectors. Please remember, I and j, here we call it as vectors. Okay, but they are not orthogonal to each other. Earlier what you used to say, I is perpendicular to j. No, here I and j are not perpendicular to each other, but they are at an angle of either 60 degree or 120 degree. That means if I want to find the distance between this cell and this cell, which are co-cells, utilizing the same channels, in this case, how will I find the distance in terms of I and j? I is the unit vector in one direction. So if I want to travel in this direction, center of one cell to another, I will count as 1. So 1, 2. And again in another direction, that is 60 degree, 1. So this is showing 2 units in one direction, 1 unit in another direction. So this corresponds to I equal to 2, j is equal to 1. But please remember, I and j are interchangeable. That means I is equal to 2, j is equal to 1, or I is equal to 1, j is equal to 2. Both are valid for this particular case. Now again, if they are same, so in this particular case, let us see. Again I am moving from 1 to 2 units in one direction, 1, 2, 3, 3 units in another direction. So basically I is equal to 2, j is equal to 3, or vice versa. I is equal to 3, j is equal to 2. Both are valid. Okay, so this is known as co-channel cell allocation. Now what is my objective in this particular slide? I don't want any cell radius associated with the formula that I will be designing or deriving in this case. Why? Because cell sizes keep on changing, though its shape does not change. If it is a hexagon, now consider this hexagon. Okay, from the center of the hexagon to any edge, okay, perpendicular to any edge, the distance I will be calling r prime, and from center to any angle we will call it as cell radius. That means capital R is cell radius, r prime is not. Okay, and distance between the center of two cells is root over 3r. Now if we take this into consideration, okay, this is a very simple derivation, simply incorporating one formula from trigonometry, which you are probably aware from class 10th or 12th. Okay, that the third side, square of the third side of a triangle is nothing but the sum of the squares of the two sides and minus twice the product of the length of two sides and cos of the angle made by the intersection of the two sides. Now if we apply this and call this particular distance as the reuse distance d, then d is nothing but 2ri square. Why it is 2ri? This is 1 r, I means r prime, r prime, r prime. So this is equal to 2r prime. Okay, and I is equal to 1, so that doesn't matter. again this distance is, let us count, 1 2 3 4. So 4 ri, I can write 4 ri or r prime. Okay, but I will be writing it 2 times 2r prime. That means, why I am taking this 2 outside? Because this is the value of j. I can substitute as j over here. So I times 2r prime square plus j times 2r prime square minus 2ij 2r prime into 2r prime cos of 120 degrees. Now this will give us an equation in terms of d square. Now my objective again is to eliminate r and r prime. I should have the things which are constant and at the same time the reuse distance. So basically reuse distance, okay, as we have seen, if I make this is equal to root 3r as I told, then what happens if I add a term capital N? This is empirically I am doing just to make you understand. If I put the value of n is equal to 0, that means there are no cells in the cluster. Value of n is 0, obviously d is equal to 0. If I put capital N is equal to 1, that means I am traveling from one cell to just another cell. The reuse distance becomes root 3r. Similarly, I can keep on increasing the value of n. So for n number of cells in a cluster, the reuse distance d is given by root over 3 times n into r. This relation is going to be very useful for us because we will be substituting it on the left hand side. Let us see how. Now what we will be doing, as I mentioned, I will be replacing root 3n into r whole square, that is d square, from the previous equation in this, and I will get a term in an equation in terms of n I j only, where ij can be any integer 0, 1, 2 and so on, and n correspondingly defines the cluster size. And please remember the reuse factor I'm sorry for this. Please remember that the reuse factor is basically given by 1 by n. This is known as the reuse factor. So if n is equal to 7, which is the most fundamental case, then reuse factor is basically 1 by 7. Okay, so like this, if we go ahead, we will see one more thing. Characterizing the frequency. Here we can see the most important point, this particular equation. N cannot have any values associated with it but the values which are mentioned over here, and in this also 7 is the most predominantly used or most fundamental case of frequency reuse or the cell cluster size. Okay, if it is not provided to you what is the number of the cluster size, please take n is equal to 7, and of course the pattern goes on. So if we why this entire cellular system, cellular communication system came into picture can be made very clear if I take a very simple example in which I am taking one particular mobile tower, okay, was supporting 40 voice channels, say for example, over a geographical location of 140 square kilometer. Now if the same area is divided into 7 smaller areas, each supported by low power transmitters, that is the main requirement. I told you previously the main requirement is to have low power transmitters, okay, probably power of the order of 100 watt, as I told you, okay, low power transmitters, so that each can support only 30% of the channel. then you are supposed to determine the coverage area of the cell. Now this is very simple. Coverage area has nothing to do with anything. It is going to remain constant. So in that particular case, what happens? Earlier the area was 150. Now again it is 140, but it is divided into 7 cells. So the total area, or 140 divided by the total number of cells, will give you 140 divided by 7. That is, each cell will be covering 20 square kilometers. Now again it is said the total number of voice channels available in the cellular system. Now there were total 40 channels now. Okay, fine. Now 30% is supposed to be used by each base station, or by each cell basically. So 30% of 40 is 12 channels per cell. So each channel is supposed to be using 12, or each cell rather is supposed to be using 12 channels. Now one cell is using 12 channels. Of course 7 cells will be using 84 channels. Now just see, previously in mobile system, which was having a single antenna with no cellular concept, there were 40 usable channels, which has now, with introduction of basic cellular system, okay, having n is equal to 7, that is the reuse factor of 1 by 7, we have managed to increase the channel by more than 100%. Now this is the conclusion of this entire discussion, that we, by making cellular systems or dividing a geographical location into small cells, what we are trying to achieve? We are trying to achieve a higher number of channels so that capacity of the channel increases. So this was the very fundamental and important part of cellular communication. Thank you very much for being so patient to listen to this. Thank you to all my students and viewers. And next time, very soon, I will be coming with another topic on wireless communication for elaborate discussions. If you have any questions, please do comment. Thank you very much.